Stop what you're doing. A heavenly message comes straight from heaven just for you. Pay attention, because the Most High saw what you do when no one else is watching. I'm talking about that moment alone in your room, where tears fall without anyone asking for explanations. God answers today. He has decided to break his silence, to speak directly to your heart. Don't go, because what you are about to hear will change the way you see your current battles. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to activate the strength you need for your new spiritual season. You are brave. This is far more than a chance encounter. It's a divine appointment scheduled on heaven's calendar. The noise of the world often tries to drown out the voice from above, but in this very second, that voice becomes clear. God isn't looking at the version of you present at work, nor the friendly smile you offer your neighbors. He's looking at your true self, the one who drops the mask when the doors close. Write in the comments, "I accept my new season." It's amazing how heaven values what we sometimes consider small battles. Like you, many of us have felt that our invisible victories don't count. But to the Creator, they are the ones that shine the brightest. Remember a few days ago, when you had that message full of pain and sharp truths, ready to send? You had the right to defend yourself, to expose the lies they told about you, to strike back. Your heart pounded, and your finger trembled on the screen. But instead of attacking, you chose peace. You deleted every word. The world might call that weakness, but in the celestial realms, it was an act of absolute power. You chose not to let someone else's poison contaminate your own spirit. He saw you pull into the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel tightly, swallowing the lump in your throat, so your family wouldn't see you defeated. He saw you take a deep breath, compose yourself, and walk inside to serve others while you yourself needed comfort. That integrity carries eternal weight. Sometimes we think our generosity goes unnoticed, especially when we give out of our own need. I've noticed that true faith is tested not when we have plenty, but when we choose to be a blessing despite our own worries. He even saw when, recognizing your own limitations, you chose to help someone else. You didn't calculate. You simply trusted that sustenance comes from a source higher than a bank account. If you thought you were invisible, listen carefully. Every act of integrity has been recorded. The silence you felt isn't abandonment. It's the silence of a heavenly court where the evidence of your faithfulness is being reviewed before the gavel strikes in your favor. This isn't just a fleeting motivational talk. We're embarking on a journey of profound revelation. As we move forward, I'll show you how to identify the distractions that try to stop you right before your greatest blessing and how to seal this new chapter in your life. Don't let anything distract you, because the adversary of your soul wants you to retreat before receiving the keys to your victory. Write in the comments, "I trust in God's timing." Feel the rhythm of your heart right now. It's not just biology. It's the drum of life that God keeps beating. Right here where you are, whether it's your office, your home, or your car, the divine presence surrounds you with immense love and pride. You are here because you are suffering from what we might call integrity burnout. You are tired of doing the right thing and seeing results that seem unfair. You see others prosper through deceit, arrogance, or a lack of values, while you, being faithful and honest, feel that every step is a struggle through mud. That dark whisper that visits you in the early hours, telling you that perhaps you should give up and play their game, is a lie. Your integrity is not a waste of energy. It's an investment in your eternity. Though the world may reward noise, heaven rewards steadfastness of heart. Do not compare yourself to those who run fast on sand. Your foundation built on rock is about to reveal its true strength. Have you ever wondered what happens to that pain that no one sees? In ancient scriptures, something is mentioned that we often misinterpret as mere poetry. It says that the Creator keeps each of your tears in a sacred vessel. Many think this is just a way of saying that He feels sorry for us, but the reality is much more powerful and just. In ancient times, there was a tradition where people would collect their tears in small vials during moments of great sacrifice or love. These containers were tangible proof of a person's profound soul. It's fascinating to understand that, to heaven, your tears are not emotional waste. They are liquid prayers. Every drop you shed when choosing honesty over the easy path has been stored as a treasure of immense spiritual value. Write in the comments, "My tears are seeds of blessing." God doesn't hold on to those tears out of sentimentality. He keeps them for your restitution. Consider the story of that upright man, Joseph. He did what was right, rejected temptation, and maintained his purity. And what did he receive in return? He was thrown into the darkness of a prison. It seemed his integrity was destroying him. He went from being an exemplary servant to an invisible man in a dungeon. Can you imagine his conversations with the divine in that darkness? Lord, I honored you. I fled from error. I serve with excellence. Why am I here? Why do those who do wrong seem to advance, while I weaken in this hole? You probably feel exactly like that today, in that empty space between your obedience and the manifestation of your promise. It's a place where weariness weighs heavily, but it's precisely there that your character becomes unbreakable. This silence is not abandonment. It is preparation. The enemy will try to tell you that if you were truly chosen, you wouldn't have to fight so hard. He will tell you that your path has been erased from the celestial map. But today I bear witness that the books of heaven are opening for you. Write in the comments, God remembers my faithfulness. He saw the night you spent praying for someone who was speaking ill of you. He saw how you continued to care for your loved ones, even when they ignored you. He saw the opportunity you rejected because it required you to compromise your values. You didn't lose anything. You invested it in a heavenly account that yields eternal fruit. The payment hasn't been lost. It's simply growing, because God doesn't give a meager harvest to those who have sown with such sacrifice. But I know there's a question that haunts you. If he sees everything, if he holds a vessel of my tears and knows I'm innocent, why does he remain silent? Why does he allow the world to mock my faith for so long? Sometimes we mistakenly believe that divine silence is a punishment or a lesson in suffering. However, what if that silence is actually your greatest shield of protection? There are movements the heavens are making in your favor that are so significant and subtle that they require absolute secrecy. He's not ignoring you. He's hiding you. He's protecting you from eyes that could ruin what's growing inside you. I know it feels like you're screaming underwater, but that weight on your chest isn't suffocation. It's the pressure needed to transform coal into diamonds. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who needs comfort today. Don't let this message stop here. Help us bring hope to more hearts. Write in the comments, I accept my process with faith. It's natural to feel exhausted when you uphold your principles in a world that seems to have forgotten them. But remember, the height of your spiritual edifice depends on the depth of its foundation. While others may climb quickly on sand, you're building on rock, and that structure will stand forever. God's silence is not absence. It is an incubator. What he is nurturing in your life is so important that it cannot be revealed prematurely. Trust in the sacred hiding place. What is built in secret will manifest with brilliance that no one can extinguish. And then there's you. You stayed silent when you had the power to dismantle the reputations of those who hurt you with a single sentence. You chose to swallow the harsh truth just to preserve harmony in your family. You decided to walk the long, honest path when everyone around you is taking shortcuts. And what seems to have come into your life? A silence that feels like the sky is made of bronze. You notice how those who act deceitfully seem to be showered with favors, while you, who have been faithful, seem to be ignored. You've lain staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night, wondering, am I a fool for being good? Is my kindness a weakness? Why am I the one who bears the burden, while those who cause my pain celebrate? Write in the comments, my integrity is my strength. I want you to visualize something with me. In the times of the ancient prophets, there was a custom of heartbreaking beauty. When someone was going through deep grief or an agonizing trial, a sacred vessel called a tear flask was used. These weren't just simple glass bottles. They were the guardians of tears. They were sealed and kept in the most honored places in the home, because in that culture, tears weren't wasted water. They were the physical evidence of love and the tangible proof of a soul that didn't succumb to suffering. It's touching to think that the Creator is doing the same for you. Just like David in his cave, when he was persecuted for being innocent. You may be in a dark place today, but know this, God isn't just watching you cry. He's gathering evidence of your faithfulness. In the language of heaven, Every time you wept because you chose not to stoop to the level of the person who betrayed you, that tear was a deposit of faith. Every time your soul ached because of limitations, yet you refused to act dishonestly for a quick advantage, that tear became a treasured possession. You may think your pain evaporated into thin air, but heaven says, no, I have kept it to multiply it. I've learned that in the spiritual realm, what we offer with pain and honesty always returns transformed into greater glory. You're not simply going through a rough patch. You're sowing seeds in a heavenly soil that never fails. Let me tell you about someone who, like you, walked a tightrope of doubt. Let's call her Sarah. She worked with excellence for years in a high-pressure environment. She was always the first to arrive and the last to leave, always fixing other people's mistakes. But on her team, there was someone very skilled at manipulation, someone who stole her ideas and spoke ill of her behind her back to climb the ladder. One day, Sarah found definitive proof that this person was not only dishonest with her, but was seriously affecting the integrity of the entire organization. They had the power to destroy it with a single click. It would have been human justice, and no one would have blamed her. But deep inside, she felt a clear instruction: remain at peace. Trust in my justice. Sarah did the hardest thing. She erased the evidence and decided to trust. Do you know what happened next? For 2 long years, nothing changed. In fact, the manipulative person was promoted and became her boss. Sarah had to take orders from the very person who had stolen her credit. God's silence was deafening. She wept into her pillow, feeling punished for her own kindness. Sometimes, God's silence feels as if evil is winning, but that's where true faith becomes unwavering. Sarah didn't know that her obedience was building up a response that no human could match. What Sarah didn't understand was that if she had acted on her own, she would have gained a small, temporary victory. But God doesn't want to give you crumbs of human justice. He wants to give you a reward that comes directly from his throne. If you feel like Sarah today, watching others rise while you seem stuck because of your faithfulness, don't be discouraged. Your case isn't closed. It's being processed in a higher court. The justice you could exact is limited, but the justice God has prepared for you is complete and restorative. Keep your hands clean, because what's coming into your life won't depend on the favor of men, but on the will of heaven. Write in the comments, I hope in the justice of heaven. You must understand something fundamental. The reward that comes from heaven takes long to prepare because it's not a quick snack. It's a banquet of abundance. For Sarah, it was 7 years of invisible sacrifices and silent tears. But the complete transformation happened in less than 24 hours. It all began one ordinary morning. Her organization was integrated into a large international group, and the new management conducted a thorough audit. But they didn't just look at the numbers. They evaluated the character and integrity of those in charge. The person who had manipulated and overshadowed Sarah was exposed, not by her words, but by the weight of the truth. She was removed from her position immediately. However, the real vindication wasn't that cleanup. Sarah was summoned to the main office, trembling, thinking her time there was over too. But the director looked at her respectfully and said, We've seen how you've single-handedly carried this department. We don't want you to stay in your current position. We've designed a new responsibility for you to oversee the entire region. The most beautiful thing wasn't the promotion or the tripling of her income. It was seeing how those who had mocked her silence and called her kindness weakness now had to seek her advice and approval. God had set a table of honor before those who had tried to defeat her. Write in the comments, God fights my battles. Had she fought on her own, she might have won a small squabble. But by letting heaven intervene, she won the war. Her tears, held back for so long, became a torrent of favor that washed away years of sorrow in a single day. Now look at yourself. Where have you been like Sarah? At what point did you choose to remain silent and walk away from a fight you could have won? You're not wasting your time, nor are you naive. You're someone investing in the spiritual realm, and you're about to see such great fruit that your knees will bend with gratitude. The journey has been long, because what's coming is immense. You don't need heavy machinery to move something small, but you do need it to receive the treasure God is sending into your life. Perhaps doubt whispers to you, that's a great story for Sarah, but what about me? Listen carefully. You don't have to guess. There are clear signs. spiritual indicators that appear in the life of a chosen one just before the heavens open in their favor. If you recognize these three markers in your soul, your time of being hidden is officially over. Write in the comments, I recognize my victory signs. The first sign is sudden isolation. I don't mean a sadness that makes you hide away, but rather that the world suddenly seems to be turning away from you. Before you fit in, you could participate in small talk or tolerate gossip. But something changed. Now, when you walk into a room, you feel like oil trying to mix with water. The invitations stopped coming, and people you used to spend time with drifted away. It seemed like rejection, but it's actually sanctification. To be sanctified means to be set apart. When heaven is about to bestow immense glory upon your life, it first clears the space. Remove those who might be envious, those who would try to manipulate your blessing, or those who anchor you to your past. That solitude you feel isn't emptiness. It's a unique preparation. The second sign is a depletion of your old resources. This one is painful. For years, you had a way of solving your problems that always worked. You had sources of sustenance or strategies that yielded results. But suddenly, that stream you drank from has dried up, just as it did for the prophet Elijah. The exhaustion of the old is not a sign of scarcity. It's a sign that God is moving you toward an inexhaustible source. Sometimes, He allows what once sustained us to cease, so that we stop relying on our own methods and begin to depend entirely on His hand. If today you feel that your usual strength or resources are insufficient, rejoice. You are one step away from experiencing supernatural provision. That stream you drank from simply ran dry. You tried the same old solutions, but got no response. You sought the same opportunities, but no one called. You tried to heal that relationship with the same words as before, but this time it didn't work. You worked twice as hard, but the results were less. Perhaps you thought it was an attack on your well-being, but it wasn't. It was the hand of God closing a door you'd grown too comfortable passing through. I've noticed that heaven often allows what once gave us security to cease, not to punish us, but to compel us to look toward a new source. If that place had remained comfortable, you would have stayed there forever, ignoring the higher calling that now beats within you. You passed the test because when the stream dried up, you didn't curse your fate. You didn't try to take sustenance from another. You remained faithful in the midst of the drought. You continue to be generous even when fear knocked at your door. You continue to serve others even while you yourself hunger for comfort. That wilderness wasn't a punishment. It was the only way for you to move your tent to the place where the rain of blessing is about to fall. Write in the comments, I am moving towards my blessing. The third sign is the agony of alignment. It feels almost like a physical reaction. Lately, you've developed a total intolerance for anything that's fake. You turn on the screen and have to turn it off because the spirit behind what you see makes you uncomfortable. You talk to someone who's being dishonest, and you feel a real knot in your stomach. Places that used to entertain you now drain your energy. This is what I call the deep inner groan. It's a holy dissatisfaction with what is good enough. While everyone around you is content with mediocrity and daily drama, you feel like a stranger in your own life. This discomfort is proof of your ascent. It's the pain of growth, like that of a being that has outgrown the space that contained it. You're not dying. It's that your spirit has expanded so much that your current reality can no longer hold you. If you're experiencing these three signs, isolation, exhaustion of the old, and the agony of alienation, I have heavenly news for you. You've passed the audit. This is where eternal truths stand behind you with legal authority. Write in the comments, I passed the test with faith. In ancient prophecies, it is mentioned that when the faithful were troubled by the prosperity of the arrogant, the Creator did not send a lightning bolt to silence them. Instead, He listened and opened a book of remembrance. In heavenly tradition, this book is a legal record intended to generate a future reward. Kings of old used these books to record the deeds of their servants, so that, at the opportune moment, the king could open a record and grant a special favor. God has a book of remembrance with your name in it. He recorded the exact day you erased that angry message. He recorded every seed of kindness you planted when you had nothing. He recorded every night you spent alone to maintain your integrity. The ink is now dry, and the record has been sealed with the seal of approved. But this brings us to the most dangerous moment of your journey, the fall summit. It's the point where many chosen ones give up. If the book is written and the audit passed, why are you still waiting? Why hasn't the provision arrived? And why is the phone still silent? You've done everything right. You prayed, you forgave, and you stood firm. And yet, you watch the months go by, staring at a horizon that doesn't seem to change. Even well-intentioned people tell you, be patient. God is teaching you to wait. And every time you hear those words, you want to scream because you've been patient. For years, you feel like you're running a marathon where the finish line moves further away with every step. You start to believe that maybe you still need to learn something or that you should be more humble. You try to convince yourself that this waiting room is your final home. But don't mistake the waiting room for your final destination. Sometimes the delay isn't a lesson in humility, but rather the time the heavens need to align the pieces you can't see. Stop searching for lessons in pain. Start looking for signs that the door is about to open. Your faithfulness hasn't led you to a dead end, but to the launch pad. Today I'm here to dismantle one of the heaviest lies you've been carrying. Many people tell you that you must continue to be patient, but they're wrong. God is no longer teaching you patience. You passed that lesson with flying colors 3 years ago. The reason your blessing seems to have stopped has absolutely nothing to do with you needing to learn to wait or with a flaw in your character. I've seen many people prepare for an endless winter just as the sky is announcing a sudden summer. If you keep focusing on learning to endure the wait, you'll miss the change in atmosphere that's happening right now. There is a strategic reason, almost a matter of heavenly military protection, behind this delay. If you can grasp it, you will stop lamenting the weight of your situation and begin to be grateful for protection that surrounds you. God is not asking you for more patience. He is doing something entirely different in the midst of this silence. Write in the comments, "My waiting time is over." Stop asking for strength to endure any longer. Stop apologizing for feeling exhausted by the delay. Your spirit is weary because it knows something your mind hasn't yet processed. The season of testing is officially over. You've been misinterpreting the silence. You looked at that closed door and thought it was rejection, or that God was angry or too busy to attend to you. But silence is not abandonment. Silence is the sound of sacred wrapping. Imagine a father preparing an immense gift for his son. He locks himself in a room, throws in the lock, and works in secret. Outside, the son cries, think he's been left out. But inside, the father is working harder than ever, cutting ribbons and preparing the grand surprise. The Creator tells you today, I am not ignoring you. I am wrapping up your future. The reason I have kept you out of that room, in the dark, is because what I am preparing is so grand that it cannot be seen until it is finished. It is a true inauguration. Often, history's greatest masterpieces are covered with a heavy, dirty tarp while they are being sculpted. Those passing by see only a dull cloth, but they don't see the gold and glory beneath. You have been despising the tarp of your life, calling failure what is actually your protective covering. Write in the comments, I am under God's protection. You're not delayed, you're undercover. There's a divine protocol for revelation. The greater the work, the longer it remains hidden. If you were just an ordinary person, God would have exposed you years ago. But because you're a vital asset to his kingdom and a generational blessing, he's kept you under the shadow of his hand. Use your spiritual vision right now. Imagine enormous double doors in front of you. For years you've been knocking on those doors, pleading for them to open. Now listen to the Father's voice on the other side. It is not yet your time to enter, not because you are unworthy, but because the table is being set. If I open this door a second sooner, you would enter construction site instead of your coronation. Trust in the closed door. Trust in the silence. God has hidden you to protect you. If your adversaries had known the magnitude of what you carry within, they would have tried to stop it while it was just a seed. God placed you in a capsule of spiritual silence to block any negative signals. He made you seem invisible to the world, so that the enemy would also overlook you. Your current invisibility is your greatest shield. The fact that the world hasn't yet recognized you is not a lack of merit. It's divine camouflage that has kept you safe from attacks you didn't even notice. Rejoice in having been hidden, because what is conceived in the darkness of the Creator emerges with a force that nothing can stop. You must understand that what the adversary cannot find, he cannot destroy. There was a time when the opposition seemed to be relentlessly attacking you, but suddenly everything calmed down. Do you know why? Because looking at your life, the enemy thought, he's finished, he's stagnated, he'll never get anywhere. And that is exactly what heaven allowed. While the world considered you defeated, God was in the secret room preparing the greatest package of favor your lineage has ever seen. You didn't lose time. You gained protection. You didn't lose momentum. You gained capability. The silence is about to end because the wrapping is ready. The Creator is approaching those double doors right now, placing his hand on the lock. And when he opens them, you will see not just consolation for what was lost, but multiplied fruit. Write in the comments, I receive my restoration multiplied. God doesn't simply return what was lost. He operates under a principle of heavenly justice that most fail to grasp. Your cup will not only be filled, but it will overflow with abundance. You are about to experience what I call the spiritual accumulation effect. In the natural world, if someone owes you something and is slow to deliver, its value diminishes. But in the heavenly realm, delay doesn't lead to loss. It leads to accumulation. Every day you waited without complaining, every month you endured the silence without reverting to your old life, increased the value of your blessing. If God had answered you in the first week, you would have received a standard blessing. But because he kept you safe, divine law now dictates that you receive the base fruit plus the fruits awaiting. I have observed that when justice is slow in coming to righteous men, the final judgment always includes compensation for the pain and time lost. God has seen the years that were taken from you and the doors that were blocked. He is authorizing a decree that includes restitution for every attack you managed to survive. Write in the comments, God's justice is my sustenance. There is an ancient promise that says the abundance of those without purpose is reserved for the righteous. That provision, those connections, and that peace you need haven't vanished. They are held back behind a dam. When water is stored, it creates immense pressure. You've been staring at the dry riverbed of your river, thinking the source has run dry, but it hasn't. The water is simply accumulating behind the dam of God's timing. When that barrier breaks, it won't come as a small trickle. It will come as an unstoppable torrent that will change the landscape of your life in an instant. That's why heaven uses the word shalom. It's not just replace, it's restore with honor. In heaven's law, if something was unjustly taken from you, it must be returned multiplied. If you waited in faith, you are owed years of favor condensed into one. Imagine entering a decade where you will receive in 10 years what takes others a lifetime. That's why you feel so much pressure in your spirit right now. The pressure is proof of the immense blessing that is about to be released upon you. Look at Joseph's life. He had his big dream at 17, but he didn't enter the palace until he was 30. It was 13 years of what seemed like utter failure. Slavery, false accusations, and a dark cell for a mistake he didn't make. But consider this. If God had freed him after just 1 year, Joseph would have been a free man, but he would still have been a penniless slave. He would have been back to square one. Sometimes we despair of escaping the prison of our current situation, failing to realize that if we leave prematurely, we will leave empty-handed. The extra time Joseph spent in captivity was the time heaven used to position an entire empire under his feet. Don't ask for a quick escape. Ask for the escape that leads you directly to the throne. Your waiting is not a delay of your destiny. It is a blueprint for your reign. Because God kept you safe during that waiting period, allowing the fruit of your faith to multiply. When the doors finally opened, Joseph didn't emerge as a mere survivor. He emerged as the prime minister of the most powerful nation. The delay bought his authority. The suffering bought his territory. Had David been crowned on the same day as his anointing, he would have been just a young man with a title, but without spiritual authority. Those nights in the caves and that bread eaten in the solitude of the desert were the price he paid for the authority necessary to unite an entire people. I know you've been asking, God, why is it taking so long? And today heaven answers you, because I'm not preparing you to be a servant, but to govern your own story. If I were to give you the blessing prematurely, you would have the position but not the strength. You would have the resources but not the wisdom. Write in the comments, I'm ready for my next level. The length of your wait is proof of the magnitude of your crown. You have reached your maturity. The fruit has ripened and the account is full. Imagine for a moment the messenger of heaven at the counter of blessings, pushing toward you a mountain of favor so high you cannot see the top. In your spirit, I want you to do something now. In your mind, stretch your arms out as far as you can. Imagine you are at the foot of that enormous dam we mentioned earlier. You can hear the creaking of the wall and the roar of the impounded water. That is the sound of your shalom, your complete restoration. It won't arrive next year. It is breaking down barriers this very moment. God's favor is about to flood you so completely that you will forget the years of hardship. You will look back and thank heaven for making you wait, because what you receive today is worth far more than what you originally asked for. But heed this warning carefully, because there is a protocol you must follow. When a large amount of water strikes a small or fragile vessel, the vessel doesn't fill, it shatters. If you try to receive a torrent of blessing in a paper cup, the weight will crush it. God has prepared the favor. But if your spirit continues to operate under a victim mentality or a scarcity mindset, this blessing could overwhelm you instead of lifting you up. Write in the comments, I expand my capacity to receive. You need to prepare your inner structure immediately. You can't pour new wine into old vessels because they will break and the contents will be lost. If your life is set up to handle only a thread of hope, the coming tsunami of favor could be too much. We need to update your spiritual operating system right now. I am giving you the protocol for receiving heaven. This is the practical framework you must apply in the next 24 hours to signal to heaven that you are ready for the transfer of your blessing. This protocol consists of specific missions. Your first mission is to create a physical void. There's a law in the spirit that says the new cannot enter where the old occupies all the space. Today, your environment might be filled with the debris of your past season. Look around you at your home, at your workspace. Does it resemble the atmosphere of someone about to be honored by the king, or that of someone who is stuck? I'm not asking you to clean for aesthetic reasons, but as an act of prophetic faith. It's an act of spiritual authority. When you get rid of something broken or unnecessary that you kept out of fear of the future, you're telling heaven that you trust in the provision to come. By clearing your space, you're building the runway for your new projects. Do it practically. Check your phone. Are you keeping messages that hurt you? Are you keeping the contacts of people who betrayed you just in case? Delete them. Every file from the past that you unnecessarily keep takes up memory space that God needs for your new outpouring of blessing. By pressing delete, you break the tie with what no longer belongs to you. Write in the comments, I let go of the old to receive the new. Your second mission is mental cleansing. This is deeper than tidying a house. You need to eradicate the scarcity mindset that has tried to colonize your imagination. You've spent so much time in the waiting room that you've begun to identify with the waiting, not the arrival. Your environment reflects your expectations. If you live surrounded by painful memories or clutter, you're telling your spirit that you don't expect anything better. When you clean and declutter, you're not just moving objects, you're moving celestial energies. Don't wait for blessings to arrive before acting like one of the chosen. Act like one of the chosen so that blessings can find their place. Perhaps you caught yourself saying, this is too good to be true, or I'll never be able to reach that level. That kind of language is a wall that restricts the flow from above. I want you to take an inner action right now. Imagine that there is a sacred filter in your voice. For the next 7 days, this filter will capture every word of doubt or cynicism before it leaves your lips. If you think it, don't say it. Silence is preferable to self-sabotage. By remaining calm when you feel the urge to complain, you are widening the channels of your spirit to receive a much heavier flow of blessing. Your third task is to set the table. Faith isn't just believing something will happen. Faith is preparing the stage before the food arrives. If you were inviting a guest of honor to dinner, you wouldn't wait for them to knock on the door to start cooking. You'd put out your best dishes and light the candles in advance. Preparation is the ultimate test of your expectation. Write in the comments, I prepare my table with faith. How do you set the stage for your miracle? By creating the vessel for what you ask for. If you're seeking a new opportunity to serve, prepare yourself as if you already have it. If you're seeking peace in your home, begin to organize every corner for that harmony. These small actions shout to the spiritual realm, I know it's coming, and I'm so certain that I'm already making space for it. Feel the change within you now. As you clear the clutter and silence the words of lack, the heaviness in your chest dissipates. That empty space is nothing. It is pure potential. It is the emptiness that will attract blessing. You are no longer a fragile vessel. You are becoming a vault of heavenly grace. Now that the space is ready, the dam can be opened. The Father sees that you have dug the trenches to hold the water of life. But be careful. You are not the only one who notices that you are ready. The opposition also sees a gleam of anticipation on your face and the cleanliness in your house. Knowing they can't stop what has already been decreed by heaven, they'll try something more cunning, filling your newfound emptiness with a counterfeit before the real thing arrives. They want you to accept what glitters momentarily, so your hands will be occupied when the pure gold comes. Write in the comments, I can discern the authentic from false. This is the most delicate phase. It's the almost zone. The adversary goes from being an obstacle to being a forger. I'm going to explain the signs that usually appear in the life of a chosen one just before their great breakthrough, sometimes within a very short time frame. The first deception is the reappearance of the past. It's the most common trap. You've healed. You've found peace in your solitude, and suddenly you receive a sign from that person who didn't value your true self, the one who walked away in your time of need. They return with apologies and sweet words. This is not a sign of divine restoration. It's a distraction sent to bind you to a season you've already closed. If you reconnect with what caused you pain, you reconnect with the old mindset and the old trauma. Heaven wants you to keep your hands free for the new, not to pick up what you've already laid to rest. The enemy isn't afraid of your tears. He's afraid of your readiness. When you start acting as if you're already blessed, the spiritual world stirs. Don't be fooled by the remnants of the past that try to disguise themselves as second chances. If God took you out of there, it was to bring you to something higher. Stand firm in your sacred emptiness. What's coming is so great that you won't want to have a single finger occupied with what's already happened. Don't let nostalgia deceive you. That past try to return isn't restoration. It's an attempt to wed you to your old story so you can't reach your destiny. Don't be flattered by that unexpected message. Recognize it for what it is. A shadow try to feed on the light of your future. Write in the comments, my future is greater than my past. The second counterfeit is the Ishmael opportunity. Remember that the ancients were promised a fruit of pure blessing, but in their impatience, they created something by their own efforts. Ishmael seemed like a solution, but it wasn't the promised one. Right now, you might be facing an offer or a path that seems to resolve your immediate urgency. In theory, it makes sense, but deep down, you feel resistance. You feel you have to force a situation or manipulate the door to get it open. That's an Ishmael. It's a false blessing that will relieve your pressure today, but bring conflict to your peace tomorrow. The adversary sends a good, so you'll be legally committed and won't have a free hand when the extraordinary arrives next week. Wait for the authentic. I've noticed that the best things in life require us to stay calm when everything seems to indicate we should rush toward the first thing that comes along. Don't trade your inheritance for a bowl of lentils. The third counterfeit is the bait of offense. This is a precision attack on your character. Just before your spiritual ascent, someone will appear to disrespect you. They will say something in your social circle or on social media designed to ignite your anger. They will mock your faith or attack your integrity. The goal is not to hurt your feelings, but to derail you from your purpose. They want you to retaliate, to get down and dirty, and to lose your composure. Why? Because no one can be crowned while behaving like a street warrior. Your silence in the face of provocation is your greatest shield. The fourth deception is the chains of comfort. It's the temptation to return to Egypt. It's that voice that says, go back to what you already know. At least there you felt safe. Don't trade your desert, which is a path to your promised land, for a comfortable cell in your past. Comfort is the trap the world uses to keep you small. Write in the comments, I am moving towards my promised land. The fifth counterfeit is premature celebration. You gain a small victory, a bit of relief in your resources, or a small door that opens, and you become so excited that you stop striving. You think that's it, and you stop praying, you stop preparing. That small victory is not the harvest. It's just a foretaste. It's an appetizer. Don't let momentary relief take away your hunger for the main course. Receive the gesture with gratitude, but don't camp out on the border. Keep marching toward the center of your blessing. It's vital to understand that a short respite isn't the end of the road. Sometimes the heavens give us a break, so we can gather strength, not so we can lay down our tools. The sixth counterfeit is the false companion. Someone will come into your life speaking your same spiritual language, flattering you and claiming that God told them great things about you, but their fruit is not good. These are people who are drawn to your light and want to feed off it without contributing anything real. Set boundaries. God sends true friends calmly and after they've been tested. Opposition usually sends its emissaries in great haste. The seventh and most dangerous deception is internal sabotage. It's the voice in your head that says, "Who do you think you are? You're a fraud." As you approach your true revelation, the fear of your own light will try to hold you back. You're afraid the pressure will crush you or that your past wounds will prevent you from embracing the glory that's coming. That feeling of not being qualified isn't a sign of insincerity. It's evidence of your humility. The arrogant person believes they deserve the throne to their own merit, but the chosen one knows they need divine grace to sit upon it. The very fact that you feel small in the face of what's to come is precisely your greatest qualification. Don't be intimidated by the magnitude of what God is placing in your hands. If He has led you this far through silence and trial, it is because He has already placed within you capacity to sustain it. The counterfeits that appear now are merely confirmation that the real thing is at the door. Keep your discernment sharp. If it doesn't bring you profound peace and complete alignment with your values, it's not for you. I want you to take an internal action right now. This is a protection protocol for your spirit. Imagine you are the guardian of the gate of your own heart. You are there, authoritative, guarding the entrance. Visualize those seven counterfeits trying to enter, the past trying to seduce you, the rushed opportunity trying to bribe you, the offense seeking to provoke you, and self-sabotage screaming in your mind. In your spirit, look at them firmly. Don't argue with them. Don't give them explanations. Simply point to the sign for your new season that says, "Access only for what is of God." Feel the power to say, "Access denied." Write in the comments, "I close the door to falsehood." Every time you say no to a distraction, you're saying resounding yes to your true destiny. Every time you block an empty connection, you're reserving a seat for a divine connection. You've cleared your house, identified the traps, and the adversary has run out of options. Nothing now stands between you and the design written for you before the foundation of the world. The obstacles have vanished. The path is clear. The atmosphere is shifting from war to celebration. God decides when it's time to reveal His masterpiece, and that time is now. I want you to understand how quickly things change when heaven intervenes. Let's think about David, not the king of the Bible, but someone like you, a chosen one who just a few months ago was in his kitchen staring at an eviction notice. He had done everything right, started the project he felt in his heart, and invested his savings, but received only silence for 2 years. One Thursday at 8 in the morning, David was sealing boxes to move into his parents' basement, feeling humiliated and thinking that God had abandoned him in the desert. But while David was packing boxes, heaven was signing decrees. At 11 in the morning, he received a call from a company that had ignored him for over a year. The director told him, "We haven't been able to get you out of our minds today. We don't just want to hire you. We want you to be our partner." By 2 in the afternoon, the money was in his account. By 5 in the afternoon, David wasn't packing. He was paying off his debts. In less than 9 hours, he went from shame to double honor. That's how swift the suddenness of God is. 1 minute you're hidden, and the next you're the testimony everyone's talking about. David is no exception. He's a prototype of what's happening to you right now. Activate your spiritual vision now. Let's journey into the future that has already been prepared for you. Imagine the calendar turning pages. 3 months from today. Look at yourself in the mirror 3 months from now. The tension in your jaw has disappeared. The lines of worry have softened. You look radiant. Why? Because the burden of survival has been lifted from your shoulders. Write in the comments, "I walk in my freedom." Feel the air in your lungs. It's the oxygen of freedom. Look at your phone. You no longer fear it. It's full of good news. Visualize the reason you've been crying. If it's your family, see them restored. If it's a home, feel the new keys in your hand. If it's your purpose, see people being blessed by your story. This isn't a fantasy. It's a reminder of your future that God shows you, so you know that whoever fights today is already a victor tomorrow. You don't have to wait months to see the first sign. I declare this over you. In the next 72 hours, you will see a change in atmosphere. The heaviness will break. You will wake up with a peace you cannot explain. I declare that in the next 7 days, you will receive a specific communication, a call, or a message that will be the first drop of rain that breaks the drought. Rise up and shine, for your light has arrived. The days of hiding are over. This tsunami of favor is not a possibility. It is a legal decree signed by the king. Only one thing remains to activate the transfer. We need to authorize heaven to download this reality into your earthly life. Wherever you are, if you can do so safely, stand up straight or straighten your back with the authority of a king. This is not a plea. It is a coronation. For this hour we have walked through the valley, but now we stand before the throne. Faith doesn't wait to see to believe. Faith acts because it knows it's already a reality. By standing tall and visualizing your future, you're aligning your frequency with that of heaven. Don't let doubt whisper that it's too fast. To God, a day is like 1,000 years, and He can compress decades of blessing into a single afternoon. Prepare yourself for the impact of His favor. We have walked together through the valley of your silence. We have exposed the opposition strategy and discovered the secret room where God was preparing your victory. Now, we have arrived at the moment of transfer. Listen carefully. You won't leave this video the same person who clicked on it. That version of you who was confused, hurt, or felt forgotten has expired. Today, the version that emerges is the revealed, chosen one. Place your hand over your heart. This is the hallmark of your new season. Father, in the sovereign name of truth and life, we come before you now. We acknowledge that the atmosphere has changed. The ceiling of limitations has been removed, and the portals of blessing are open. The time of recording your pain is over. The time of your reward has begun. We declare that this is not just a video. It is a sacred moment etched in eternity. Thank you, Creator, for this chosen one. Thank you for seeing him choose peace over war. You saw him weep in solitude, feeling the weight of the world, but refusing to surrender. You saw him give to others with his own empty hands. You saw every act of integrity that no human eye witnessed. Today, his record in the courts of heaven has been approved. By the authority given to me, I seal these truths into your DNA. I seal the results of your integrity audit. You have passed the test of isolation. You have passed the test of scarcity. And you have passed the test of alignment. Today you are marked as faithful and trustworthy to bear the weight of the glory to come. I now seal your receiving protocol. I declare that your capacity has been supernaturally expanded. The scarcity mindset is broken. The victim identity has been destroyed. Your vessel is cleansed. Your house is ready. And your spirit is open to receive the tsunami of favor that is already knocking at your door. I now nullify all counterfeit. The past has no power here. Hasty opportunism is rejected. Provocation is ineffective. And internal sabotage is silenced. I establish protective barrier around your mind for the next 7 days. No distraction will penetrate this shield. You will not settle for the false. You will await the true inauguration. I now decree total liberation. I command that the knots be untied. I speak to the abundance that was reserved and command that it be transferred into your hands right now. I speak to the opportunities that were held back by delay and command that they be released. I speak to the years that pain stole from you and command shalom, the restoration of double portion in your life. I declare that in 72 hours the weight will lift from your shoulders. I declare that in 7 days the tangible evidence will arrive. The call, the contract, the connection. The silence is broken today. You are moving from the back of the line to the front, from the darkness of the pit to the honor of the palace, from invisible to the undeniable. This is not a mere wish. It is a legal verdict from the Supreme Court of Heaven. It is written, it is signed, and it is sealed. Now, chosen one, I have a question for you, and I need you to answer in your own voice. You are a child of the King, and heaven awaits your authorization. Are you ready to bear this level of favor? Are you ready to be evidence of God's power to your generation? If your answer is yes, I want you to say it loud and clear, to shout it in your heart. I'm ready. Say it again. I'm ready. Heaven heard it. The past heard it. Your destiny heard it. It is done. You are commissioned, activated, and deployed. Walk now in your revelation. Manage your tsunami of favor. And when the world tries to remind you of your past silence, remind it of your present victory in the name that is above all names. Don't move. Stay in this moment of glory for one more minute. Feel the weight of the crown on your shoulders. Feel the change in atmosphere. The King is in the room with you now. Amen. The weight of your weight is proportional to the size of your crown. Many people go through life seeking quick success that vanishes as quickly as it arrived. But you have been tested in silence. The time you spent hiding was not a punishment. It was a character transformation. The tears you shed in secret have become your greatest spiritual asset. You are not entering this new season as a survivor, but as the master of your own story. The dam is broken, and what is coming is not only to fill you, but to make you a channel of blessing to all those around you. Your silence is over. It is time for your testimony to speak.